Hey, how's it going, guys? So here is the Frame Arms Girl Laetitia, and like the Materia and Innocentia, this is going to be a fairly minimal model kit. Basically what you have is just kind of the girl with very little armor or clothing, whatever you want to call it, on, and you have just a handful of little option parts, and basically there's not really a whole lot in the box, although with this kit you do have a good amount of option parts in there. You don't have anything in terms of like weapons, accessories really necessarily. All that stuff you kind of have to rely on other Frame Arms and Frame Arms Girl, MSG, modeling support good stuff from Kotobukiya if you want to actually arm her up with more stuff, more accessories or anything like that. But with this one just being a very simple design, you can just leave it as it is, or there's lots of opportunity to arm her up with a bunch of different weapons or option parts, things like that. If you wanted to kit bash this with the Frame Arms kit, give it a sort of half robot, half girl design. A lot of things that you could do with this. So we'll get into it and go through all the different option parts and everything. As always, guys, big thank you to SA Gundam Store for their support. If you want to check out some different Frame Arms Girl stuff, or Megami Device, Kotobukiya stuff, Bandai stuff, anything you want there on their site, the link is down in the video description below, as well as my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, you can use to save 10% off everything there on the site. Now, the majority of the option parts for this kit are going to be centered around the face, kind of head and hair options that we have for this. So, of course, we have, like with all Frame Arms Girl kits, 3 different options for a pre-painted face. Well, most anyway, as far as I can tell. They all have 3 different sets of their option faces. So you have this kind of winking face there with a little tooth in there, very cute. And the second option here is just kind of a more standard face, just kind of looking off to the side with the smiling teeth there. And then the third face is just also smiling, looking off to the other side, but with the tongue sticking out a little bit. And so again, as you can see here, you do have enough parts to build 2 full heads at the same time, which is nice for if you want to be swapping them out or just changing some different options. You can just change the entire head rather than having to take the whole head apart and then doing a whole bunch of taking it apart and putting things back together. Being able to just swap out the head just straight up like that is a much easier thing to do. So, and as you can see, here is the first of our different hairstyle options for this. So just this one having just this ponytail out the back, short ponytail at the back, and then another option being these pigtails off the side like that, which are just connected on just kind of joints there. You can move those around as you like. We do also have another extra set of faces here, but these ones are blank without any pre-painting on them, so you can mark these up or do whatever you want with these. We do have some waterside decals included here with just some eyes, so you could use these on here if you wanted, or if you're repainting the regular faces or whatever. You have just these waterside decals for the eyes if you want to change the look of that just a little bit. As for the other different hair and ear options and all of that stuff, we'll come back to that in a moment. I just want to move, because there's a lot of those, I want to just go through some of the other main accessories here. So if you didn't want just the bare legs, you do also have these covered legs like this. There's also a different white part here for this ring there between the leg and the part there. So if you didn't want that all skin tone, you can also add this little bit into here, just like that, or attach on the covered leg like that. So there is the difference between the 2 legs, the leg with the sort of long boot and shoe, or just the bare leg like that. Now you do also have the same option here for the arm as well. You have this covered arm, and so you can just, again, just swap that out. So you've got some options there for that if you wanted to have that more or less covered like so. Now we've got a ton of different hand options here. So there you have the open expressive hands like that. Here you have the holding hands with the trigger finger extended. You also have just the holding hands without the trigger finger extended. You have just these open resting hands, and you have the closed fists, which I've got there on the kit already at the moment. Those are all standard, but then with this one you do also have some extra hands here. These ones which will go together to make heart hands. There you've got the peace sign hands, you've got these just open karate chopping hands, you've got the thumbs up hands. So this is kind of like with the holding hands, but just the hands are actually totally closed just to make a thumbs up sign there. And then you also got the pointing hands, again similar to the trigger finger hands, but they're just not actually open. So you just got there just for pointing hands like that. And all of these hands you have available in either skin tone or the covered kind of dark maroon color version as well. So in all, we have a total of 22 sets of hands included with this kit. Then we've got some options for around the neck here as well. If you didn't like that sort of collar piece, you can change that. Just pop that off. Another option here is just this a simple kind of color like that, and I'm not exactly sure what you would call that one, but there you go, like that. Or another version of that, this one has a little bit more kind of similar look to like something that you would see on the Architect girl like that, just with this sort of a little bit more mechanical looking part there at the front. So you have a couple different options for the part around the neck as well. And these kind of really seem more like just kind of leftover parts included in here, but you could use these if you wanted just these other different feet options, which are just these kind of like simple feet like that. They just sort of don't really look so like humanoid feet with toes and everything. You just these very simple shaped feet. And then some optional parts here for the sides of the thighs. These optional parts you can just switch out if you wanted a hard point on there for, again, connecting other different armor or weapons or anything onto the side of the thighs. And you've got a similar part here for the upper arm as well. So this part that is there, if you wanted to attach something else, some other weapon or accessory onto there, you've got this optional part for doing that. Here at the back, another option part, if you take off this one that's just got the one single hard point there, you can switch that out for this backpack part that has 3 hard points. So if you wanted to connect a little bit more kind of, again, just more option parts or anything onto the back, you've got that. And also an optional part here for this kind of back of the torso, sort of butt flap, I guess, if you will. Here, again, that will just give you a hard point attachment on there if you wanted to attach something onto that part there. And of course, we do also have an option part here for the chest as well, basically just giving you 2 different size options for that. Swapping out those parts is a little bit more difficult because it's kind of hard to separate the front and back part of this, but that just clips onto the front here, a little clip like that, so that would be the smaller size version. Alright, then we do have one other option here for the chest. If you take this part off, you have this tiny little piece which will plug in there in the center instead of that. And this as well is a carryover from the Materia kit, so it's not new, it's just giving you the most minimal chest armor there with this little piece. Then if we remove this part here for the front half of the hair, we can replace it with this part which has the hard points for plugging on our ears onto the top of the head. And this little piece keeps wanting to fall off of the hair there, that keeps popping out. But anyway, there you can see is our 2 hard points now on the top of the head. So our first set of option ears we'll try out for this are just kind of the animalistic looking sort of cat ears. Not really personally a big fan of this style of cat ears in any way, shape, or form, but you do have these included with this kit. So once those are plugged in firmly onto the head, here is how those are gonna look, with the separate little white tuft part there on the inside of the ear, which does look very realistic, I guess. Then our next set of ears here would be these ones that look sort of like down-turned dog ears, sort of, but again, not really to my personal taste, but just even more options that you at least have included in the box. But if you wanted to keep it really minimal, you do also have just these really basic parts, which just basically acts as just kind of plugs in there for the hard points, almost giving you sort of an Evangelion sort of look there with these little clips on the top of the head. But there you go, those are pretty cool, I think. But let's take a break from ear options for a moment and go back to our other head here. Now this is the head, once again, that has the connections on the back for out the top, but you can combine them, putting this front half onto this back half and having connections here on the top and on the side as well. But anyway, if we remove these ponytail or pigtail bits there on the side, we have these, wrapped buns versions to cover up there instead if you prefer that style. We do have a third one of those, which is a little bit different, which will replace this part here for the ponytail out the back of the other head like this. If you wanted to go for this style like that off the back of that head. But anyway, back to the ears then. So then we have these kind of like more mechanical sort of looking ears. Now basically we have 3 different sizes for these. So this would be the smaller size, and then this one here would be the larger size, a little bit larger size. These ones are kind of more pointed like straight up. It's kind of a cool mix there of the 2 of them, but you can see the smaller size just kind of like pointed straight out, and then these other taller ones are pointed straight up. Here's a look at both of them plugged in there at the same time. So I guess these are meant to look sort of more like kind of like fox ears, I guess, right? Robotic versions of that anyway. And then we have the final optional parts here is just the larger versions of that. So you can see how big these are in comparison. These medium size and the larger size ones here. So there is how those are going to look. I guess a little bit more sort of like rabbit ears now, just for how large those are. But that is finally, I think, it for all of the optional parts for this kit. So while the base kit of this may seem pretty simple, as it's just kind of the girl and it doesn't really have any weapons or any like extra armor or anything like that, just the sheer amount of option parts, accessories they have for this is pretty crazy. You just have a ton, and so there's a lot that you can really do with this. So while this kit is a little bit expensive, it's definitely not the cheapest. So, there are other cheaper options in the Frame Arms Girl line, which are also pretty simple. This one does give you by far the most accessories among the cheaper ones, like the Materia and the Innocentia, the Architect, like that. So definitely a lot of stuff in here to play around with if you want to just use some of the different option parts. And again, using different option parts that are meant for this or that are included with this with other Frame Arms Girl kits is easy enough. So you can only use so much with one particular kit, so a lot of the stuff you're going to have left over you can then use with a different kit or something like that. If you're having multiple different Frame Arms Girl kits or Megami Device kits, you can mix and match some different parts between them. So definitely a lot to enjoy, a lot to go over in this review, but hopefully I covered everything for you guys. But of course, if you do still have any other further questions or comments, feel free to leave those down below. Again, thank you to USA Gundam Store for their support. Thank you to you guys, as always, for watching, and hope you have a great day. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.